I think my mother did exactly the right thing. I think it's absolutely extraordinary.
In an unprecedented moment of royal disclosure, Princess Anne recently shared a secret about Queen Elizabeth's final wish that sent shockwaves through the British royal family. For decades, Queen Elizabeth had stood as a pillar of continuity, representing the monarchy's unchanging nature amidst the world's turmoil. However, Anne's revelation shattered the calm facade, unveiling that the Queen's last words were not just about maintaining tradition, but about ushering in a new era for the monarchy. A change that left Camilla rattled and questioning her place within the royal family. Princess Anne, known for her reserved and loyal nature, has long been seen as the steadfast supporter of her mother's vision. She was the quiet force that helped uphold the monarchy's dignified public image, often working behind the scenes without seeking attention. But when Anne shared the details of Queen Elizabeth's final wishes, it became evident that the monarch's vision for the future was nothing like what many had anticipated. In her final moments, Queen Elizabeth did not want the monarchy to remain static or bound by the strict traditionalism that had governed it for centuries. Instead, she expressed a clear desire for a more modern, adaptive monarchy, one that would remain relevant and responsive to the changing world. What could this mean for Camilla's position as Queen Consort? In the months following Anne's disclosure, many have speculated that the Queen's message was a veiled challenge to the role Camilla had come to occupy. For years, Camilla's journey to the throne had been a rocky one, riddled with public criticism and scandal. Yet, after years of hardship, she finally found acceptance in the royal family. Now, with Queen Elizabeth's final wish revealed, Camilla faces an uncertain future. Could this be a subtle yet clear indication that her reign as Queen Consort might not be as central to the monarchy's future as she once thought? The fact that Anne revealed this secret so openly speaks volumes. It suggests that the Queen's message wasn't merely a passing thought, but a serious reflection on the monarchy's evolution, something the royal family must now come to terms with. The monarchy, traditionally viewed as a stable institution, is at a crossroads where it must either adapt to modern expectations or risk becoming irrelevant. Queen Elizabeth's final wish hints at a reorganization of the royal hierarchy, suggesting that the younger generation, particularly those like Kate Middleton, may play a more pivotal role in the monarchy's future. This revelation has left royal watchers wondering how the monarchy's power dynamics will shift. If the Queen's message truly was a wake-up call to the royals, how will Camilla navigate these changes, and what will her role look like moving forward? One of the most significant aspects of this revelation is the timing of it. As the monarchy faces challenges, both internally and externally, the royal family's position in the world has become increasingly scrutinized. Social media, evolving public opinions, and the changing political landscape have all combined to put the royals under the microscope more than ever before. Anne's admission serves as a stark reminder that even in her final days, Queen Elizabeth was conscious of these forces and wanted to ensure that the monarchy would survive them. But what is the cost of such a shift? For Camilla, this change means adapting to new expectations, which may not have been anticipated when she first ascended to her position. Queen Elizabeth's unexpected vision for the future. When Queen Elizabeth passed away, many royal observers believed that her legacy would be one of unchanging tradition, a testament to decades of stability. However, Princess Anne's recent revelation has completely rewritten that narrative. In a move that shocked the royal family, Anne disclosed that the Queen's final wish was for the monarchy to undergo a radical transformation, one that embraced modernity, youth, and the values of a new generation. Queen Elizabeth, known for her stoic commitment to tradition, was deeply concerned with how the royal family would evolve in the coming years, and her final words indicated that the monarchy could no longer cling to the past. For much of Queen Elizabeth's reign, she remained a figurehead, someone who embodied continuity, resilience, and the enduring traditions of the British monarchy. But as the world changed around her, so too did her thoughts on what the monarchy should look like. Her final wish revealed that the Queen was not only concerned about the stability of the institution, but about its ability to adapt and remain relevant in a rapidly evolving world. She knew that the monarchy had to evolve alongside the society it represented, something that had become clear as younger royals like Kate Middleton and Prince William began to take on more responsibilities. Anne's revelation comes as a pivotal moment in royal history. The monarchy is currently navigating the complex balance between tradition and modernity. Queen Elizabeth's wish is a reflection of her understanding that the monarchy must evolve to maintain its relevance. But this evolution goes beyond mere ceremonial duties. It's a shift in how the royal family engages with the public and how they manage their image. For Camilla, the realization that her role in the royal family's future was not as secure as she believed is a stark reminder of the challenges that lie ahead. Her position, while important, may not be at the center of the monarchy's vision moving forward. Queen Elizabeth's final wish also highlights the increasing role that younger members of the royal family, like Kate Middleton, will play in the future. As the monarchy looks to the future, it's clear that Queen Elizabeth believed the institution should be led by those who can connect with the modern world. Kate, with her focus on mental health, charity work, and her down-to-earth persona, fits this vision perfectly. By contrast, Camilla's more traditional role in the royal family may not align with the Queen's vision for a monarchy that connects with younger generations. This royal shift isn't just a reaction to current events. It's part of a long-term strategy that Queen Elizabeth had in mind for the monarchy's future. Her understanding of the monarchy's need for modernization was profound, and her final wish suggests that she wanted to ensure that the monarchy would survive into the next century. However, this doesn't come without challenges, especially when it comes to ensuring that the institution remains true to its core values while adapting to societal changes. The sudden power shift in the royal family. Camilla's life as the Queen Consort has been anything but simple. From the very beginning, her relationship with Prince Charles, fraught with scandal and media scrutiny, cast a long shadow over her royal path. However, over the years, Camilla worked tirelessly to build a reputation as a committed and devoted member of the royal family. But the recent revelation of Queen Elizabeth's final wish, shared by Princess Anne, has thrown Camilla's future role in the monarchy into turmoil. The shock of learning that Queen Elizabeth's last wish focused on a more modern, youthful monarchy, and did not center on Camilla's position, has left her reeling. For years, Camilla's title as Queen Consort seemed to solidify her place in the royal family. Yet, with the revelation that Queen Elizabeth wanted the monarchy to evolve, Camilla finds herself facing an unexpected challenge, a future in which she may no longer be at the forefront. The passing of the baton, especially to the younger generation, has not only shaken her personally, but also questioned her professional position within the royal fold. For Camilla, this shift in power is a direct blow. Her role as Queen Consort, although ceremonial and steeped in tradition, was meant to mark a moment of triumph after decades of public rejection and scandal. Yet now, she faces the uncomfortable truth that Queen Elizabeth, in her final moments, foresaw a monarchy shaped by younger, more modern figures. This sudden shift leaves Camilla grappling with the realization that her role as a central figure in the royal family may not be as secure as she once believed. The public acceptance she fought so hard for may not be enough to safeguard her position, as the royal family seems to be moving in a new direction, one that potentially sidelines her. This shift is not only unsettling for Camilla, but also for Prince Charles, who has long championed his wife's position within the royal family. The revelation of Queen Elizabeth's wishes challenges the power dynamics between Camilla, Charles, and the younger royals. While Charles has been king for a short time, the monarchy's future was, according to his mother's wishes, not entirely in his hands, but in the hands of the younger generation. This leaves Camilla in an increasingly vulnerable position. As Charles and Camilla are both now on the throne, their path forward may no longer be as clear-cut, especially as the monarchy seeks to balance tradition with modernization. Kate Middleton's rising power. While Camilla's future in the monarchy is being questioned, one royal figure is emerging stronger than ever: Kate Middleton. Queen Elizabeth, in her final moments, recognized Kate's potential to lead the monarchy into the future, and her final wishes were a strategic blueprint for ensuring Kate's pivotal role in that future. For years, Kate has been seen as the future Queen Consort, but now it's clear that Queen Elizabeth had a much more far-reaching plan for Kate's influence within the royal family. This plan, however, did not extend in the same way to Camilla, who now finds herself pushed to the margins. Queen Elizabeth, a monarch who witnessed vast shifts in royal life during her reign, understood the importance of continuity in leadership. She saw in Kate the qualities necessary to lead the monarchy in the next generation. Kate's calm, composed demeanor, her approachability, and her deep understanding of the needs of modern society made her the ideal candidate for a more prominent role in the royal family. While Camilla was playing an increasingly visible part in public life, Queen Elizabeth's vision was not to make her the central figure of the royal future. Instead, it was Kate who was being groomed, albeit subtly, to take on a greater role. The timing of Queen Elizabeth's final wish suggests that her understanding of the monarchy's future was far ahead of her time. She knew that the monarchy needed to evolve to meet the expectations of younger generations, who value authenticity, social responsibility, and connection to the people. Kate, with her work in mental health advocacy, charity work, and her relatable public image, represented the kind of royal figure that could resonate with the public in a way that Camilla, despite her many accomplishments, could not. This recognition from Queen Elizabeth wasn't just about Kate's popularity. It was about her ability to lead the monarchy in a changing world. Kate's influence is likely to grow even more significant as the monarchy faces the challenges of a rapidly changing world. Queen Elizabeth's vision for Kate's role suggests that the Duchess of Cambridge will take on a much larger, more dynamic role than anyone previously imagined. Her leadership style, built on compassion, poise, and public service, will be integral to the monarchy's survival in an era where the royal family must adapt to meet the needs of the public. But why, then, did Queen Elizabeth's final wish not include Camilla as much as expected? Camilla, for all her hard work and dedication, may have been seen as a stabilizing figure for the royal family. But Queen Elizabeth's foresight was focused on ensuring that the monarchy had a future that could inspire the next generation. Camilla's traditionalism, though vital to the monarchy's legacy, was simply not in line with the Queen's broader vision. As the royal family works to navigate this new reality, it seems that the Queen's wish for Kate is not just about the future of the monarchy. It's about the values Kate represents and the leadership she can offer. Camilla's battle to fit in. Queen Elizabeth's passing marked more than just the end of an era. It marked the beginning of a difficult journey, one where her place in the royal family became increasingly uncertain. As Queen Consort, Camilla had long been the subject of public scrutiny, facing decades of judgment, particularly because of her controversial past with Prince Charles. Despite the years of public censure, she had successfully worked to establish herself as a fixture in the royal family, and her position as Queen Consort seemed like the culmination of her tireless effort to secure her place in the institution. However, in a shocking twist, Queen Elizabeth's final wish, revealed by Princess Anne, brought a wave of uncertainty that has shaken Camilla's once solidified role. Queen Elizabeth's wish was centered on a monarchy that embraced change, one that looked to the future and the younger generations to guide it through the complexities of modern life. It was a wish for evolution, and it became clear that this evolution did not include Camilla in the same central capacity she had once hoped for. As the monarchy began to look beyond the traditional frameworks, Queen Elizabeth's vision for a modernized royal family placed Camilla on the sidelines. While Camilla had navigated the treacherous waters of public opinion to secure her position as Queen Consort, her role was now called into question in the face of this shifting dynamic. This change in direction put Camilla in a precarious position, as she found herself caught between two worlds, the royal family's long-standing traditions and the demands of a modern monarchy. Queen Elizabeth had always been a firm believer in the traditions of the crown, but in her final days, she recognized the necessity for change. Camilla, who had long upheld the royal family's values and traditions, now had to grapple with a shift in priorities, one that required her to either adapt to this new vision or risk being overshadowed by younger members of the family, particularly Kate Middleton. The transition from tradition to modernity is never easy, and for Camilla, the challenge was particularly acute. She had always viewed her role as Queen Consort through the lens of tradition, focusing on ceremonial duties and maintaining the royal family's image as a pillar of stability. However, the monarchy now had to embrace a more relatable and approachable image, one that resonated with younger generations. who increasingly demanded a more progressive approach. As Queen Elizabeth's wishes made clear, the future of the monarchy would require the involvement of the younger royals, and this presented Camilla with a difficult decision. Would she adjust to this new era and find her place in a changing monarchy? Or would she hold steadfast to the traditional role she had carved out for herself? How Queen Elizabeth's final wish changes the royal future. Queen Elizabeth's final wish was a monumental revelation that marked the end of an era for the British monarchy. As the longest reigning monarch in British history, Elizabeth's reign spanned decades of political upheaval, societal changes, and royal scandals. Throughout it all, Queen Elizabeth was a symbol of continuity, stability, and tradition. Her reign was synonymous with the old guard, the monarchy of the past. But in her final moments, Elizabeth expressed a desire to reshape the monarchy for the future, ensuring its continued relevance in a rapidly changing world. This wish, however, signaled a shift in the royal family that left many stunned, including Camilla. The monarchy had long been rooted in values such as duty, respect, and tradition. These were the pillars that Queen Elizabeth had built her reign upon. But, as the world evolved, so too did the monarchy's need to evolve with it. Queen Elizabeth's final wish was not just a call for adaptation, it was a call for a transformation of the monarchy, one that would resonate with the values of a modern, progressive society. By focusing on the younger members of the royal family, particularly Kate Middleton, Queen Elizabeth ensured that her legacy would survive through the monarchy's next phase. Her wish emphasized the importance of embracing the future, not merely clinging to the past. The Queen's vision for the future was a stark contrast to Camilla's traditional role as Queen Consort. For years, Camilla had carved out her place in the royal family by embodying the traditional expectations that had defined the monarchy. Her involvement in charity work, public engagements, and royal duties had earned her respect, and she had finally secured her position as Queen Consort. However, Queen Elizabeth's final wish indicated that the monarchy was entering a new era, one where Camilla's role, as well as those of other traditional figures, would be reconsidered. With the younger royals now positioned to play a more significant role in shaping the future, Camilla was forced to face the uncomfortable reality that her time at the forefront of the royal family might be limited. For the royal family, this shift in priorities signaled a much-needed update to its image and approach. Queen Elizabeth had always understood the importance of maintaining the monarchy's dignity and relevance, and in her final moments, she took proactive steps to ensure that the monarchy would thrive in the 21st century. By turning to Kate and the younger royals, Queen Elizabeth recognized that the monarchy needed fresh perspectives, modern values, and a new way of connecting with the public. This was a monarchy not stuck in the past, but prepared to evolve. Princess Anne's role in the royal evolution. In the wake of Queen Elizabeth's passing, the royal family has found itself in the midst of a period of transformation. While much of the attention has centered on the late Queen's final wishes, Princess Anne's role in shaping the future of the monarchy cannot be underestimated. As the Queen's daughter and closest confidant, Princess Anne has always held a unique position within the family. Her understanding of the delicate balance between tradition and modernization, coupled with her steadfast commitment to royal duty, places her in a pivotal position to help guide the monarchy through its next phase. Princess Anne has often been seen as the quiet yet steady force within the royal family. Unlike her brother Prince Charles, whose reign has already begun to shift the monarchy's dynamics, Anne has traditionally kept a lower profile. However, her role as the Queen's most loyal child has always been evident. Through decades of public service, Anne has proven herself as the embodiment of duty, discipline, and responsibility, the values that were championed by Queen Elizabeth. These traits, coupled with her wisdom and experience, position Anne as a silent but powerful guide in the royal family's evolution. With Queen Elizabeth's passing, Anne's steady leadership has become even more important. Her role as a silent guide is not about commanding the spotlight, but rather about supporting and advising her brother and niece, Prince William and Kate Middleton, as they assume more prominent roles in the royal family. While the younger generation, particularly William and Kate, will take on more visible leadership positions, Anne's influence behind the scenes cannot be overlooked. She knows that the monarchy needs to evolve to remain relevant, and her understanding of this delicate balance makes her an invaluable asset to the royal family. One of the most significant aspects of Anne's role in the monarchy's future is her ability to maintain continuity while simultaneously embracing change. While some members of the royal family may struggle with the shift toward modernization, Anne has always understood the importance of adapting to the times while still honoring the traditions that define the monarchy. This balancing act will be crucial in ensuring that the royal family remains a symbol of stability and unity in a rapidly changing world. Anne's guidance, both public and private, will be a steady hand helping steer the monarchy into this new chapter. Princess Anne's involvement in the royal family's evolution also reflects her deep commitment to supporting the family through its challenges. Her loyalty to her mother and her dedication to the crown have never wavered. While her role has often been more understated compared to her siblings, Anne has been integral in maintaining the royal family's unity during times of crisis. Whether it was supporting her mother through personal struggles or stepping in during moments of public scrutiny, Anne has always been a reliable presence. As the monarchy navigates its future, Anne's quiet leadership and unwavering loyalty to the family will help ensure that the royal institution remains strong and united. Camilla's response to Queen Elizabeth's last wish. When Princess Anne revealed Queen Elizabeth's final wish, the revelation sent shockwaves through the royal family. However, none were more affected by this disclosure than Camilla, the queen consort, who had long fought for her position in the monarchy. For years, Camilla endured public scrutiny, battling criticism and scandal, all while working to earn her place alongside Prince Charles. Yet, with the Queen's passing, Camilla found herself facing an unsettling truth. Her position as queen consort might no longer be as secure as it once seemed. Queen Elizabeth's final wish, as revealed by Anne, made it clear that the future of the monarchy was to be shaped by a younger, more modern generation. Queen Elizabeth had always been a steadfast defender of the monarchy's traditions, but in her final moments, she recognized the need for change. The monarchy had to evolve, embracing new leaders who could connect with the public and embody the values of a rapidly changing world. Kate Middleton, with her down-to-earth persona and strong commitment to royal duties, was positioned to take a more prominent role in the monarchy's future, and this revelation undoubtedly left Camilla reeling. For Camilla, the Queen's final wish was a bitter pill to swallow. She had spent years carving out her role as queen consort, working diligently to align herself with the royal family's traditions and duties. But now, with the passing of Queen Elizabeth and the focus shifting to younger royals, Camilla found herself at a crossroads. Her position, once seemingly secure, was now in jeopardy as the monarchy moved toward a more modern, accessible image. Camilla had long been a figure associated with tradition and respectability, but Queen Elizabeth's wish indicated that the monarchy's future required more than just tradition. It required fresh perspectives and a more relatable approach. This shift in the royal family's power dynamics has placed Camilla in a difficult position. As queen consort, she had long been considered a stabilizing force within the royal family. However, with the increasing prominence of younger royals like Kate Middleton, Camilla's role is being questioned. While the queen consort's duties remain important, Camilla's influence over the monarchy's future seems to be waning in the face of a younger, more progressive generation. How will Camilla navigate this shift? Will she adjust to the changing landscape, or will she resist the evolution of the monarchy? The tension within the royal family is palpable, and Camilla is now forced to confront the reality that her place in the monarchy might not be as solid as she once thought. Queen Elizabeth's final wish for a more modern and inclusive monarchy, one that embraced the future with new leaders, has thrown Camilla into a position where she must reevaluate her role. For years, Camilla fought for acceptance, and now, just as she had finally secured her place at the top, she is faced with the possibility that the monarchy's future will not revolve around her. The monarchy's future now lies in the hands of the next generation, with Kate Middleton at the forefront. But with Camilla's place no longer guaranteed and the royal family moving in a new direction, one thing is clear: the monarchy is evolving, and nothing will be the same again. What do you think this means for Camilla's future in the royal family? Will she be able to adjust to the shifting landscape? Or will the younger royals take over completely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this evolving royal story.
I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody except them.
In a shocking development that has sent tremors through Buckingham Palace, Laura Lopes, daughter of Queen Camilla, has been sentenced in a case shrouded in extraordinary secrecy. The ruling, delivered behind closed doors and absent from public court records, has resulted in her immediate removal from British soil. Palace officials have gone to unprecedented lengths to suppress details of the case, but our sources have uncovered disturbing information about what really happened. What could the Queen's daughter have done to receive such a severe sentence? And why is the royal family desperate to keep it hidden? Stay tuned, because this revelation changes everything we thought we knew about the House of Windsor. The secret hearing. On a grey Monday morning, Laura Lopes arrived at an unmarked government building in central London. Unlike the high-profile court appearances of other public figures, there were no press photographers, no waiting crowds, just an ordinary-looking entrance guarded by unusually alert security personnel. Dressed conservatively and escorted by individuals who carried no official identification, Laura was ushered through a private entrance and disappeared from public view. Inside waited what one source described as a court that doesn't officially exist. No public gallery, no court reporters, no ordinary legal procedures. The small, austere room contained only essential personnel. A judge with specialized security clearance, prosecutors with intelligence backgrounds rather than typical Crown Prosecution Service credentials, and a defense team bound by confidentiality agreements so restrictive that breaking them would constitute treason. This wasn't justice as the public understands it, revealed a source with connections to royal security protocols. This was crisis management disguised as legal proceedings. The charges against Laura, while never formally made public, centered around unauthorized access to classified royal archives, specifically, documents the monarchy had spent decades keeping from public view. According to our sources, Laura had spent years quietly collecting information that posed an existential threat to the modern monarchy's carefully crafted image. She began with simple curiosity about family history, explained someone formerly connected to Laura's household. But what she discovered led her down a path that eventually crossed lines the institution couldn't tolerate. The most sensitive materials allegedly included documents related to royal financial arrangements with foreign governments, private correspondence revealing senior royals' unfiltered opinions on political matters, and most explosively, records contradicting official narratives about key historical events involving the monarchy. During the 6-hour proceeding, Laura reportedly remained composed, speaking only when directly addressed by the judge. Unlike criminal defendants who might plead for leniency or claim mitigating circumstances, she offered no defense beyond acknowledging her actions. Those present described her demeanor not as defeated but resolute, the bearing of someone who had made peace with the consequences of a deliberate choice. The sentence, when delivered, was unprecedented for a person of her status. While not termed imprisonment in any conventional sense, the ruling mandated her immediate relocation to an undisclosed secure facility outside British territory, where she would remain indefinitely without access to communication devices, internet, or unapproved visitors. The official terminology, protective isolation for reasons of national security, barely disguised the reality. Permanent exile designed to ensure her silence. As Laura was escorted from the room through a secure exit, she reportedly turned to a senior royal official present and spoke 7 words that have haunted palace corridors since. The truth finds its way. Always. Within hours, she had been removed from British soil via military transport, her destination known only to a handful of officials with the highest security clearances. The cover-up operation. The palace's public statement, issued the following day, made no mention of any legal proceedings. It simply announced that Laura Lopes would be residing abroad indefinitely for personal reasons and requested privacy. The brevity and vagueness only fueled speculation among those who monitor royal activities closely. Behind the scenes, an elaborate operation was already underway. Teams with specialized training in evidence recovery descended on properties connected to Laura, her family home, office spaces, storage facilities, even locations registered under names not publicly associated with her. Computers were seized, documents confiscated, and storage devices removed. But the operation went far beyond simple evidence gathering. They weren't just collecting materials, revealed a source familiar with the security response. They were eliminating all trace of her, research, and by extension, her presence in royal life. Most telling was the treatment of her private study in her Wiltshire home. According to household staff who witnessed the operation, the room was systematically dismantled. Floorboards were removed, wall panels were opened, ceiling fixtures were examined for hidden compartments. The thoroughness suggested extreme concern about what might be concealed there. Yet despite this exhaustive search, key documents apparently remained unaccounted for. The most sensitive materials, what one source called the monarchy's extinction level event, were nowhere to be found, triggering alarm among those managing the containment effort. There was serious concern she had created a dead man's switch, explained a former intelligence officer with knowledge of the case. Insurance files distributed to trusted allies, programmed to become public under certain conditions. This fear drove the next phase, identifying and neutralizing potential accomplices. Friends who had been close to Laura suddenly received unexpected job opportunities abroad. Associates found their visa applications mysteriously expedited. The pattern revealed a coordinated effort to distance anyone who might have served as her confidant. Particularly concerning to royal officials was Laura's long-standing friendship with an investigative journalist known for exposing government scandals. This individual abruptly announced an extended sabbatical in New Zealand shortly after Laura's removal, raising questions about whether they had been pressured into silence or were positioning themselves beyond immediate reach of British authorities. Digital traces of Laura began disappearing as well. Archives of events where she had appeared alongside royal family members were edited. Her minimal social media presence vanished overnight. Even photographs in which she appeared peripherally at royal functions were removed from official platforms and replaced with carefully cropped versions excluding her. The goal was to gradually minimize public awareness of her existence, noted a social media expert who tracked the changes. Not an erasure so obvious it would raise questions, but a subtle dimming of her presence in royal history. The family fractures. Behind palace walls, Laura's sentence reportedly created the most severe family crisis since Harry and Meghan's departure. Queen Camilla, torn between maternal instinct and institutional duty, was described by insiders as shattered but silenced. According to sources close to the royal household, she was informed of the action against her daughter only hours before it occurred, presented not as a request for permission, but as an operational necessity already set in motion. Camilla was given the appearance of consultation, said one palace source. In reality, she was simply being prepared to accept a decision made at levels even she couldn't challenge. King Charles, meanwhile, allegedly took a firmer position supporting the action. Sources suggest he viewed Laura's activities not merely as a security concern, but as a personal betrayal, particularly regarding documents relating to Diana and the monarchy's response following her death. This difference in perspective has reportedly created a painful distance between the royal couple. The king understands the institutional necessity, explained a longtime royal advisor. But watching his wife grieve the effective loss of her daughter while being unable to offer genuine comfort has created a strain in their relationship that wasn't there before. The most volatile reaction has reportedly come from Laura's brother, Tom Parker Bowles. Unlike his more private sister, Tom has maintained a public profile as a food writer and critic while remaining connected to royal circles. According to multiple sources, he vocally opposed the action against Laura, even threatening to speak publicly about her treatment, a prospect that sent shockwaves through palace officials already managing a precarious situation. Tom had to be managed differently, revealed one source. His public profile made coercion impossible, so influence was applied through professional channels instead. Suddenly, new opportunities appeared. Publishing deals materialized. The message was clear. Cooperation would be rewarded. Resistance would carry costs. Prince William, now fully embedded in the institutional machinery of monarchy, has reportedly supported the action against his stepsister, viewing it as regrettable but necessary for the monarchy's stability. According to palace insiders, he was among those briefed on specific contents of the seized documents and recognized their potential to fundamentally damage the institution he will someday lead. Most intriguingly, Prince Harry, long removed from royal operations in his California life, has allegedly made discreet inquiries about Laura's situation through intermediaries. Sources suggest he recognized parallels between her treatment and his own experiences challenging royal protocols, with these inquiries being met with diplomatic deflection from official channels. For Queen Camilla, the situation has created an impossible position. Sources describe a woman caught between institutional obligation and maternal anguish, permitted no direct communication with her daughter since the sentencing. All information comes through official briefings provided by the same security apparatus that engineered Laura's removal. In public, she maintains composure, noted one household staff member. In private, the weight is visible. She's begun questioning the path that led her into royal life, wondering if the personal cost has become too great.
The People's Princess is dead across the country, across the world.
I think when you are bereaved at a very young age, anytime really, but particularly at a young age, I can resonate closely to that. You feel pain like no other pain, and you know that in your life it's going to be very difficult to come across something that's going to be even worse pain than that.
The story of Princess Diana's death is one that touched millions of hearts around the world. Her tragic passing in 1997 left an indelible mark not just on the royal family, but on the public as well. Her two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, were at the center of this tragedy, and they experienced grief in ways few can truly understand. But for years, Prince William has remained notably silent about his mother's death, choosing not to publicly discuss his feelings or the impact it had on him. This silence has intrigued many people, sparking questions about why he chooses not to openly share his emotions regarding such a pivotal moment in his life. William's grief journey. The death of Princess Diana in 1997 left an indelible mark on the royal family, particularly on her two young sons, William and Harry. At just 15 years old, William found himself in an impossible position. His world had been shattered, yet he was still expected to fulfill his duties as a royal. Grief, for William, couldn't simply be dealt with in private. It had to coexist with the very public role he played as the future king. One of the most striking moments of this struggle came during his mother's funeral. The world watched in shock as William, along with his younger brother Harry, walked behind Diana's coffin during the procession. This was a public display of mourning like no other. For the young princes, it was a deeply emotional moment that required them to put on a brave face and fulfill a royal duty. Imagine the weight on their shoulders, grieving the loss of their mother while knowing millions of people were watching, their every step scrutinized by the press. For William, this wasn't just a royal duty. It was a moment that forced him to balance his personal grief with the expectations placed on him as the future monarch. As he walked behind the coffin, there were mixed emotions: sorrow, anger, and perhaps a deep sense of duty to his mother's memory. While the world mourned Diana, for William, this was a personal, raw experience that few could truly understand. Over the years, William has rarely spoken about his grief in public. However, when he has shared his feelings, it's been an emotional experience for both him and his audience. In a 2017 BBC documentary marking 20 years since his mother's death, William opened up about the confusion and pain he felt during those early days of grief. He described how, at the time, he couldn't fully process what had happened. Like many who experience sudden loss, William was left questioning why this had to happen to him and his family. "I remember just feeling completely numb, disorientated, dizzy," William said in the documentary. For a young boy of 15, the loss of his mother in such a violent and sudden manner was almost too much to comprehend. The emotional confusion he felt then was something that stayed with him for years as he struggled to make sense of the pain. It was clear that, for William, the grief wasn't something that could easily be explained or understood in words. It was a process, one that would take years to unravel. This deep emotional conflict continued for years as William tried to navigate life as both a grieving son and a future king. In interviews, he has often mentioned how difficult it was to reconcile the private side of his emotions with the public role he was expected to play. There's a powerful contrast in these reflections. On one hand, he was a young man mourning the loss of his mother, and on the other, he was part of the royal family, expected to uphold the dignity and traditions of his position. The tension between these two sides of his life was undoubtedly overwhelming at times. Despite the public nature of his life, Prince William has always emphasized the importance of privacy in his grief journey. In fact, He has often spoken about how critical it was for him to have space away from the media and public attention during those early days after Diana's death. Obviously, back then, we didn't have smartphones or constant media coverage. We were fortunate to have the privacy to mourn, to collect our thoughts, and to have that space away from everybody, William said in the 2017 BBC documentary. This privacy, granted by the royal family, was a rare gift. It allowed William to process his emotions without the added pressure of being in the public eye. In many ways, it gave him the chance to just be a boy who had lost his mother, rather than a royal figure who was expected to be strong for the public. This sanctuary was invaluable as he navigated the complexities of grief, away from the constant scrutiny of the media and the royal duties that often left him little time for himself. William has mentioned that the role of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, in helping shield him from the overwhelming media coverage during this time was crucial. In one interview, he recalled how his grandmother made an effort to protect him and Harry from seeing the intense media frenzy surrounding their mother's death. It was a tough decision for the Queen, balancing her responsibilities as monarch with her love and care for her grandchildren, but it was one that gave William and Harry a chance to mourn privately. Another aspect of William's grief journey that he shared with the public is how he found solace in nature, especially in the Scottish outdoors. After hearing the devastating news of his mother's passing, William was at Balmoral Castle, the royal family's residence in Scotland. In a speech many years later, William spoke about how the Scottish countryside offered him a sense of peace and refuge during those dark days. The service at Crathie Kirk that very morning, and in the dark days that followed, I found comfort and solace in the Scottish outdoors, William reflected. The beauty of the Scottish landscape provided him with an emotional escape, a place where he could process his feelings in peace, away from the chaos of royal duties and the media frenzy. For William, the hills and forests of Scotland became more than just a backdrop for his grief. They became a sanctuary, a place where he could feel a little closer to his mother and a little further from the overwhelming sadness that clouded his life at the time. This connection to Scotland remains significant for William even today. As an adult, he continues to speak fondly of the country, acknowledging that it holds both some of his happiest memories and some of his saddest. It was in Scotland that he first met his wife, Kate Middleton, and it remains a place where he and his family retreat for both joy and reflection. But the bond that William feels to Scotland, especially in the wake of his mother's death, is undeniable. The outdoor spaces offered him a break from the demands of royal life and gave him a safe place to process his grief. Changing narrative. Over time. For most of Prince William's life, the public rarely heard him speak about the tragic death of his mother, Princess Diana. His reluctance to address such a personal and painful loss became one of the mysteries of his royal life. Why did the heir to the British throne, often seen as open and approachable, choose to stay quiet about the death of the woman who had shaped much of his early years? For years, this silence sparked much speculation and curiosity among royal watchers and the general public. What was really going on behind closed doors? In the years following Diana's tragic passing in 1997, William, then just 15 years old, seemed to bury his emotions. Like many people who experience such an overwhelming loss at a young age, he was left to grapple with grief in a deeply private way. The media, in particular, was eager for any hint of what the prince might say about his mother's death. But William, who was just stepping into the role of a young royal, had other priorities. His focus, understandably, was on dealing with his grief in private. In the early years, his silence could have been attributed to a combination of personal choice and the nature of the royal family's approach to public life. The royal family, historically, has not been known for openly discussing personal emotions or grief. The Windsors, often seen as the epitome of stoicism, maintained a strong sense of duty, which meant that personal suffering was rarely displayed for public consumption. For William, this cultural expectation likely added to the weight of his grief. How could he speak openly about his mother when there were so many royal duties to attend to, and so many eyes watching him? However, as time passed, something began to shift. It's important to understand that Prince William, like many others who experience intense grief, likely found that bottling up emotions and avoiding the topic of his mother's death was not sustainable in the long term. And while he may not have been ready to open up immediately after Diana's death, it was clear that the pain of losing her would not simply fade away. It wasn't until much later that William began to speak more openly about his loss, showing a vulnerability that, in many ways, marked a significant departure from the usual royal behavior. It's important to highlight how, over time, William began to understand that sharing his grief wasn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Slowly, but surely, he began to break his silence in public forums, making it clear that the boy who once kept his emotions hidden was now ready to talk about the pain he had carried for so many years. One of the most notable moments of this shift came when William joined his brother Harry in 2017 for a BBC documentary called Diana, 7 Days. This was a landmark moment because, for the first time, the two brothers were able to speak openly about their mother's death and the grief they had experienced in the years since. In the documentary, William admitted that he still struggled with the pain of her loss, revealing that even as an adult, the emotional scars remained. He also acknowledged how his mother's death had affected him in more profound ways than he had been able to express before. This was not the typical stoic royal response we were accustomed to seeing. It was raw, honest, and incredibly moving. But perhaps the most significant change in William's approach to discussing his grief came through his active involvement in mental health advocacy. In 2016, Prince William, along with his wife, Kate Middleton, and his brother Harry, launched the Heads Together campaign, a groundbreaking initiative aimed at promoting mental health awareness and encouraging open conversations about mental well-being. The campaign's core message was clear. It's okay to talk about your feelings, especially when you're going through tough times. For William, Heads Together represented more than just a charitable cause. It became an outlet for him to channel his own experiences of loss, grief, and mental health challenges into something positive. His decision to speak out about his own struggles, particularly his battle with grief after losing Diana, served as an inspiration to many. It also sent a powerful message to others who were silently suffering from their own mental health challenges. If the Duke of Cambridge, a member of the royal family, could talk about his emotions, then surely others could too. Through the Heads Together campaign, William made it clear that mental health was not a subject to be avoided or swept under the rug. He spoke about the importance of mental health care, particularly for men, who often feel societal pressure to hide their emotions and act tough. As part of the campaign, William, Harry, and Kate engaged in open discussions with mental health professionals and those who had personally experienced mental health challenges, offering both a platform for discussion and a sense of solidarity. William's personal involvement in Heads Together has undoubtedly helped shift the narrative around mental health within the royal family and beyond. He shared his experiences with the public, including how he had struggled with his emotions in the aftermath of Diana's death. He admitted that, for many years, he didn't allow himself to process his feelings properly. This, he explained, led to long periods of stress and anxiety, which is not uncommon for those who experience a deep and unresolved loss. In the years since, William has continued to be a vocal advocate for mental health, speaking candidly about the importance of dealing with grief in a healthy and constructive way. His openness about his own struggles has been a powerful example for others, especially for men who may feel societal pressure not to express vulnerability. By sharing his own grief journey, William has helped make the topic of mental health more approachable and less stigmatized, and in doing so, he has set an example for countless individuals who are navigating their own emotional challenges. William's evolving narrative, from silence to openness, has shown the world that it is okay to face difficult emotions and share them with others. He has gradually broken down the barriers that once kept him silent about his mother's death, showing that even someone in his position is not immune to the complexities of grief and loss. It is a journey that many can relate to, whether they are public figures or private individuals. William's decision to share his grief publicly is a reflection of the changing attitudes toward mental health and emotional well-being in society. What once was considered a private matter is now being discussed openly, thanks in no small part to William's efforts to break the stigma surrounding mental health. By opening up about his own experience, William has not only honored the memory of his mother, Princess Diana, but he has also given others the courage to confront their own emotional pain and find healing in the process. As we look to the future, William's ongoing work in mental health advocacy will undoubtedly continue to inspire others to share their stories and seek help when needed. Through his example, he has shown that while grief is a deeply personal journey, it's also a shared experience that connects us all. And in that shared experience, there is hope, healing, and strength. Insights into William's silence. Prince William's silence on the death of his mother, Princess Diana, has long been a subject of intrigue and speculation. While it's easy to assume that his quietness stems from simply being a private person, the reality is much deeper. There are multiple reasons behind why William has chosen not to openly discuss such a tragic event in his life. His silence isn't just about keeping personal emotions hidden. It's also about a mix of personal emotional considerations, strategic image management, and a deep respect for how grief affects individuals in unique ways. First and foremost, Prince William's decision to maintain privacy can be traced back to personal emotional reasons. The death of a parent, especially at a young age, is an overwhelming experience. William was just 15 when his mother passed away, and the emotional toll it took on him was immense. It's entirely understandable that, after such a traumatic event, he would feel the need to guard his emotions and avoid exposing them publicly. Grief, particularly when it involves the loss of someone as beloved as Princess Diana, is something that can't easily be shared in the public eye, especially when it's accompanied by the scrutiny and pressure that comes with being a member of the royal family. As William himself has expressed in various interviews, the initial shock left him feeling confused and disoriented, not knowing how to process such deep sorrow. For many people in similar situations, it's a natural instinct to retreat into privacy during such an emotionally charged time, and William's decision to do so was likely driven by the need to protect his emotional well-being. At the same time, Prince William's silence can also be seen as part of the royal family's strategy when it comes to managing their public image. The royal family has always been under intense public scrutiny, and their personal lives are often viewed through the lens of duty and tradition. By remaining somewhat private about his grief, William was, perhaps unconsciously, aligning with the royal tradition of keeping personal matters out of the public spotlight. Royals have long been expected to maintain a composed and controlled image, even in the face of tragedy. In the case of Diana's death, while the public mourned with the family, there was also an expectation that William, as the future king, would remain strong and dutiful. Public displays of grief were complicated by his royal status, and the family often finds itself in the delicate balance between showing emotion and fulfilling their royal roles. This sense of duty likely influenced William's decision to stay silent, at least publicly, as he navigated the immense personal loss while fulfilling his responsibilities. However, there is another layer to his silence: respect for the grieving process. Grief is not a one-size-fits-all experience. It affects people in different ways, and no two people cope with loss the same way. For Prince William, grieving his mother was undoubtedly a personal and private journey. He has been open about how difficult it was to find comfort in such a painful time, but he also emphasized how important it was for him to deal with his emotions on his own terms. This respect for personal grief is something that many can relate to, regardless of their status. People who go through profound loss often find solace in solitude or in other ways that may not be visible to the public eye. William's choice to not discuss his mother's passing immediately, or to do so selectively, highlights the understanding that grieving is something deeply personal. It's not something that can always be shared, especially when the world is watching. William's approach to grief, especially over the years, has been more about quietly honoring his mother's memory and legacy, rather than dwelling on the pain. He has started to speak about her death more openly in recent years, especially through his work with mental health initiatives like Heads Together. This shift has allowed him to frame his grief in a way that could help others who are struggling with loss, making it a way to connect rather than to publicly mourn. In doing so, he has gradually opened up about his emotions, but in a way that feels right for him, slowly and on his own terms. This speaks to a larger point about the royal family's evolving attitude toward mental health and emotions, with William becoming more of an advocate for others who may be grieving in silence, just as he did. The bottom line is that Prince William's silence about his mother's death should not be seen as indifference or avoidance. Instead, it reflects a complex mix of emotional protection, royal duty, and respect for the unique ways people grieve. It's a reminder that grief is not something that can always be shared in a public space. It's deeply personal and varies greatly from person to person. As time has passed, William and Harry would continue to carry the weight of their mother's death with them. For William, his grief was something he buried deep within himself for a long time. As a teenager, he felt the pressure to be strong and composed, both for his family and for the public. His duty as a future king meant that he couldn't afford to let his emotions take over. It was only much later, as an adult, that he began to open up more about his grief and the impact it had on him. The royal family's response to Diana's death was shaped by a complex mixture of personal grief and public duty. While the Queen's efforts to protect William and Harry were crucial during the early days, it was clear that there was no easy way for the young princes to process such a monumental loss. The experience of grief, especially for someone as young as William, is never linear. It is a journey that is personal, sometimes private, and often difficult to navigate. And for William, as he later acknowledged, it would be a long time before he could fully process the depth of his loss and what it meant for his life moving forward. Now, we want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Prince William's silence was the best way to cope with his grief? Or do you believe he should have spoken more openly about it? Drop a comment below to share your perspective. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might find this story just as captivating. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on more royal insights.